right, let's finish up some finishing touches. And let some people filter in. All right, here we go. We are live. Well, welcome everyone to the DC Deck Building Dark Knights Metal launch party. We have some very special guests with us today. My name is Amanda. I'll be helping host and mediate this panel. We also have two of the game designers with us today. We have Matt Dunn and Nathaniel Yamaguchi to answer some of your questions about Dark Knights Metal. There it is, all that shiny foil. I just can't get enough. I'm so glad that we got that on the box. Way too much fun.
Oh no. Is that me or?
No, she's frozen.
Okay. Well,
It's her.
Yeah, so panel, everything good? Oh, is my internet being bad?
yeah, sorry, I thought I froze for a second. But I think we're good now.
Okay. Yeah, I know my internet has been iffy a little bit, but we're gonna power through regardless of any technical errors. But yeah, anyways, so we have our launch party today. So we will be covering questions about Dark Knights Metal. We had the opportunity for fans to submit their questions, and we will be answering those today. So, all right. So while people start to filter in and get set up and everything, let's start with a question of ours. So what of the new characters are you most excited to play with? So I know that as far as the Dark Knights Metal goes, we've returned to basically the JLA, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman are all playable characters again, as well as some new additions, including, was it Mr. Fantastic?
Terrific.
Terrific. Mr. Terrific. So which of these characters are your favorite to play?
You can start us off, Matthew.
Oh, this is of ours. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, okay, I'm going to cheat a little on this answer, I think. I'm going to name 4 heroes because I'm a big cheater. And it's specifically the sort of cycle of 4 heroes that are Dr. Fate, Wonder Woman, I believe Hal Jordan. Oh no, who's the last one? Aquaman, I believe. Where the cycle of 4 that were sort of these hybrid type heroes where you can go down either path A or path B. Like they're looking for 2 different card types, but you can do either or both to enable their abilities. They each have a different payoff for playing 2 of, those of that set. So like, for example, if it's looking for, say, heroes and equipment, which I hope is one of them. I can't remember the exact combination. I guess, does that say?
I think Cyborg's metal cards. That was my favorite because as soon as I saw the metal cards, I just wanted to hoard all of them because they're so shiny. I just wanted to be the metal card person, which is definitely what Cyborg is.
Right on. Yeah, no, it's definitely a big part of the appeal of this product. But yes, those 4 give you a lot of flexibility with what you're doing, and they also sort of like that flexibility allows them to combine with the others a little easier when you start rescuing people and adding to your team. So yeah, that kind of versatility is appreciated in this particular product.
Yeah. What about you, Nathaniel?
Mr. Terrific is definitely my favorite one.
Nice.
So he's got the effect of you may gain a weakness and put it into your hand, and then if you do that, you get to draw 2 cards. Now, in case you don't know, weaknesses in this set are a little different in that if you play 2 of them during your turn, you actually you end your turn, and then you lose one of your superheroes because you can get multiple superheroes in this game. And so he adds a really fun, like, push your luck mechanic of the first time you do it, no big deal, it doesn't matter. But now, once you've got a weakness in your deck, you're like, do I think like is it my discard pile? Okay, I'll do it again. Oh, it's in my deck though. Got 8 cards in my deck though. What's the chances of those two? One of them being a weakness card, and I end my turn. And so there's definitely that kind of added push your luck element for Mr. Triffic especially. And he's got like super early burst potential, and then just like I said, just the gambling of will my turn end or will I actually get to do some crazy stuff on it.
Yeah, that's really fun. Nathaniel, could you turn up your volume a little bit or maybe move your mic closer?
Is that
Much better.
okay? Awesome.
Oh yeah,
Thank
there we go.
you. Super cool. Yeah, and so another interesting component about what makes DC or which makes Dark Knight's Metal unique is the fact that you can actually play as more than one hero at a time, due to the dynamics of the Batman Who Laughs, capturing heroes, saving heroes, things like that. So here we go. So in the game, there's actually an opportunity for you to play more than one hero at the same time. If you happen to capture, save some of the villains. So is there any particular combination of heroes that you particularly like to play as that you feel fit together, their abilities sort of especially tend to one up each other? Any good fun combinations of heroes to play?
Sure, I'll start with that one. So
Nice.
with Mr. Terrific being my favorite one, I think he combos best with Superman, who lets you play 3 weaknesses before you get captured in your turn instead of 2. Plus, he gives you a +1 power when you play a weakness. So now Mr. Terrific's gain a weakness, draw 2 is now +1 power, draw 2, and then chances of both those cards being a weakness are very unlikely, and so then super awesome combo there of additional power, draw cards, and you're probably safe from busting.
Super
Yeah.
cool.
Good choice. Good choice. I guess I can throw out mine as well. And that would be a particular combination of the, 2 of the 4 that I mentioned earlier. I believe it was Wonder Woman and Dr. Fate, or where these ended up. Wonder Woman, I believe, is draw 2, discard 2, might be discard 2, draw 2, is her payoff. Sorry, folks, it's been a while since we've played. There's a gap between when we play this and when it goes to print. So my
Yeah.
memory on some of this is a little fuzzy.
Yeah, draw 2.
Yeah, draw 2, discard 2. Okay, awesome. Whereas Dr. Fate, I believe, returns 0-cost cards from your discard pile to your hand. So those can combine in a couple of different ways. Like clearly, like, oh, you can like discard some of your punches to get back with your Dr. Fate, or vice versa. You can bring back some fodder to discard to Wonder Woman when you use her. Plus, they overlap on one of the types, so it's easy to enable both of them at the same time.
Yeah. Awesome. So we already have a question submitted. They were lucky enough to receive their copy August 1st. Awesome. And so they had a question about the breakthrough cards. If we decide to return the card back to the stack, getting rid of a weakness, do we get to keep the 2 power? So let me pull out one of those breakthrough cards to get a look at. So these were in place of kicks, right? There we go.
Yeah, that is correct. And yeah, the short and sweet answer to that is yes, you do get the 2 power. You get that effect right up top, and that optional part of sending it back to destroy a weakness or a vulnerability, that will not make you lose out on that 2 power. So you always get that 2 power from the breakthrough.
So the card reads 2 power. You may return this card to its stack if you do destroy a weakness or vulnerability you control. So you get to kind of clean your deck a little bit.
Yeah, the breakthroughs are definitely part of like the overall system with metal. Is taking advantage of a lot of like by replacing the kicks with the breakthroughs and by giving the weaknesses that extra sort of text that we saw. And of course, the floating power of the Batman Who Laughs, all kind of combined together to create this different experience. You know, like that thing we saw with the breakthrough is something that I think we saw experimented with in like Rivals 2, right, Nathaniel? That had the construct one, is that correct?
The hard light constructs, they return them, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so that created a very interesting dynamic for that particular product. And that's being applied here to, once again, like use those tools to create a more specific kind of experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I really appreciate how the all the changes. I think they really refresh the game in a fun way. All right, so we have a couple other questions that were submitted from Facebook. One of the most popular questions I've ever heard: are you planning on releasing expansions for Dark Knight's Metal?
Yeah, that's in a weird way, okay, I can take a stab at this, I suppose. The short answer, I believe, is that if there is demand for something, we would certainly want to do it. You know, like if we think like, hey, yeah, people love metal, they want more stuff related to metal. Um, let's make more stuff that's related to metal. That being said, a usual pattern we follow with each of these larger set releases like metal, and of course, correct me if I'm off here, anyone. But often I believe the crisis set that comes afterwards is usually related, at least thematically, if not also mechanically, to the large set that preceded it. Like Crisis 4 was tied to Teen Titans, Crisis 3 was tied to Forever Evil, so forth and so on. So presumably, the next Crisis set, well, we would probably look at trying to make that combined with metal in some sort of way. Like that seems reasonable. But yes, beyond that, if you folks like it, please continue to let us know. And like I said, if there's demand, we would be happy to put out more metal stuff.
Yeah. And like I know we've kind of mentioned before, but that this is like, you know, a standalone Cerberus game. It's still compatible with everything. It's not like Rebirth where it has like kind of a whole different rule set. This is classic DC deck building. So everything that you have can kind of integrate in its own way too. So
Yeah,
that's
bingo.
definitely
That is an important point.
yeah. Let's see. What are the chances we could get a DC deck building legacy game?
Ooh,
Because I know Rebirth was very similar. It was sort of a legacy without destruction. It was a legacy you could, or well, I forget what the word that we used for it, but it's sort of like a
It's a campaign system. It's what happens
campaign.
in Rebirth. Yeah, there actually was a point where we were really considering making Rebirth a legacy game. It just never panned out though. And so my answer is yes, I would love to do. I love legacy games. So I would love to do a DC deck building legacy game. It's a little trickier with deck building the way it works, and so it's definitely something on our radar. Nothing in development yet, but I would love to do that.
Yeah,
yeah, nice.
definitely.
Well said.
Another popular question about distribution. Can we get it in Canada? Yes. It is available for retail stores to pick up through all distributors. So if you are a Canadian, international, I believe that also came up with Hong Kong. Asian distribution partners have received their stock and are ready to start selling. So regardless of where you are in the world, if it's available, reach out to your game store. They can probably help you more than we can. But it should be available worldwide. And it's just a matter of, you know, COVID delays, shipping delays. It may not be available tomorrow, but just, you know, be patient, be sure to communicate with us, ask your game stores. They can ask their distributors. They can give you a more exact update than we can. But everything is moving ahead just as best as we can. So just be sure to ask and communicate, and distributors should be able to get you a better answer. But yes, it is available most everywhere. You just have to find and ask. So yeah, that's been another popular question. Let's see. Does it contain a different game mode based in the comic? So how does this game mode relate to the story?
Sure. So as far as the Dark Knight's Metal storyline goes, pretty early on, I want to say, I don't know if it was the first or second issue, Batman actually gets captured by the um, what you use? It's the
Batman Who Laughs.
Batman Who Laughs and his Dark Knights. So that was actually the basis of how the game starts, right? So you basically start off a couple issues in, Batman's already captured, and then the story kind of goes to, all right, well, we gotta rescue Batman, so how can we get into the dark multiverse and rescue him? And then, Superman, spoilers, I guess if you haven't read that, Superman ends up getting captured as well after that, and
Yeah,
so
that is a fair point. Like, please be warned. When we talk about metal, there will likely be some metal spoilers. So just a
Right.
heads up. I'm sorry to interrupt, Nathaniel.
Yeah,
Please.
no worries. I was going through, I was like, huh, how much should I talk about this? I don't know if anyone's gonna read this after playing the game. I was, oh, this is kind of fun. I should read the comic book it's based off of. So I guess I won't go too many more spoilers after that, but it's kind of just a theme of, some heroes get captured, they get rescued, and so we kind of focus that in there as well as the idea that metal is an important thing, and so we figure we make that a subtype that among the cards as well, because they're searching for metal and it ends up being, kind of important for the storyline. And so that's again a subtype you'll see on the cards as well. And then I
Right.
guess I don't know if it's story wise, but if you've seen the comics, they also got this foil treatment on them as well. And so we thought, hey, let's add that to the cards as well. And so both mechanically and I guess physically, it's there's a lot of tie-ins to the comic stories.
Yeah. I really love the foil cards.
Oh, wow.
They're just way too much fun.
Every time I see them, they just look gorgeous.
Very, very much fun. All right. Let's see. Does the Superman superhero for Dark Knight's Metal make the turn-ending penalty of a weakness 3, or is that just for the hero capture only? So that's a more, in-depth question about how Superman's ability works. So for those of you watching, his superhero ability on the card is it requires 3 weaknesses for your characters to become captured. The third weakness is also returned to the stack each time you play a weakness plus 1 power. So as we mentioned before in this game, weaknesses enter your hand. If 2 weaknesses enter your hand, one of your heroes becomes captured. So for Superman, it requires 3 weaknesses to become captured. So the question, does the Superman superhero for Dark Knight's Metal make the turn-ending penalty of weakness 3, or is that just for his hero capture only?
Yeah, that's so this again is the Superman that Nathaniel was talking about earlier. Is the combination with Mr. Terrific there. It's a real good example of like. Sorry, I should start with the short answer. The short answer is like it does increase like the 3 weakness thing is the capture thing, the turn ending thing. It takes 3 weaknesses to stop you, and that's sort of the trick, I guess, with this card is that sometimes you have an effect which is real easy to describe in layman's terms. Like it's like, hey, it takes 3 weaknesses instead of 2, and then figuring out how to put it into more technical, rule speakish type stuff gets a little tricky. In particular, at various points in the creation of this game, um, some of the text is moving from between, say, like from the weaknesses to the Batman Who Laughs card. Trying to figure out where each effect needed to live in order to make the whole sort of experience function. And so Superman, of course, the text on him is related to all that. Like, anytime we like move something to some other place, like, okay, do we have to rewrite Superman? Do we have to rewrite Superman? So at the end of it, we hope we got into a spot where it is relatively clear how it works, but we definitely understand that it may not be super clear at first glance. And we're hoping that this clarifies that, I suppose. But yes, the short answer is 3 weaknesses to get turn in, capture, all that stuff instead of 2.
All right. So this is a good question. How do you pick events to base sets on? So for Dark Knight's Metal, like what was it about the Dark Knight's Metal storyline that made it feel compelling to like base an entire set on like an event? Because I know in the past we've set DC deck building games around like characters and like, well, Forever Evil, how do the sets get chosen what it is thematically?
Yeah, Nathaniel, I don't know, did you
Sure.
want to speak on
Yeah,
that?
I can handle this one. So, uh, For storyline based ones, usually it's popularity, or at least what's the most recent big event that happened. So Dark Knight's Metal is the most recent of the kind of really big um, DC storylines, and it's also getting a sequel, which I believe has already started. I haven't checked that out yet, but it's definitely I think it's already started the sequel to Dark Knight's Metal. Same idea with Forever Evil when that was out. That was kind of one of the bigger titles, one of the bigger crossover events that happened. Um, so it's a combination of what are big events that people were interested in, that they would probably be interested in seeing a game version of, as well as just, well, what are some things that we would like to do, for example. So whether it's like, oh, let's do Justice Society, or let's do um, whatever, New Gods. So just what's something fans might want to see that they haven't seen yet, as well as just what are things that are really popular. So we kind of alternate between those kinds of things.
Awesome.
Yeah. Another. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I guess a minor factor that can also sometimes influence things is if we have some sort of maybe a more mechanical idea that we're like this isn't the only thing that would point to it, but it's like if we're trying to decide from a number of these events and we're like, hey, here's this thing we wanted to do, like mechanically it's actually a real good fit for like this event or whatever, or this comic series or something like that. Like that might influence that decision a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody has a very relevant question. Is there a plan to be a standalone or an expansion for Deceased, which is, I think, one of their more recent current like zombie sort of storylines? Any thoughts on Deceased?
Nothing in development now, but that's always a possibility for sure. For sure.
Yeah, no, that's a fun idea. That would be really interesting.
Yeah, and to that point, like if there's stuff you folks want to see, please feel free to let us know. Like we'd love to know what y'all are interested in. And,
oh yeah, Doom Patrol is on fire right
yeah.
now.
I just
Ben
watched
Jazz.
the last episode yesterday for that.
Nice.
So yeah.
Awesome. Great recommendations. Those I think would both be fun. Will there be a Crisis 5 for this set? Do we have any plans for a Crisis 5?
Nothing in development yet, but we haven't started working on the next Crisis Pack yet. There are other things being worked on at the moment.
Right. So, what's up next for DC Deck Builder? I'll ask that.
Okay, sure. So the next official release is Bombshells, DC Bombshells. So based off of the Bombshells comic, which takes place in the past around World War II. It's a kind of an alternate reality DC where all the DC heroines are taking part in World War II, fighting Nazis as well as other magical creatures going on.
Sweet. Yeah, Bombshells is a sweet one to finally get to bring to the DC deck building game. Really looking forward to that one.
I'm excited for that one personally, but that's just me. Okay, we have another question. Will we finally get a playable Reverse Flash / Eobard Thwain card?
Oh man. Oh, you are definitely preaching the choir with Nathaniel, I believe.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I love the Flash so much. Someday I hope so. I would love to. I actually have a design for one. It just hasn't been printed yet in anything yet.
That's fair. It's got to be a good fit, right?
Yeah, that actually does raise the point of like one of the interesting developments we've had sort of over time is like a lot of like in the very beginning, all the playable characters were the heroes because you're the heroes and you fight the supervillains and all that stuff. And then Forever Evil introduced the concept of like, well, what plays the villains? Because I mean, the villains were sort of the heroes of that storyline. Spoilers, sorry. But that did sort of open the door to like, I mean, I suppose we did even at that point have like the Joker promo, the Bane promo, or did those come after Forever Evil?
Well, Bane was the promo for Forever Evil.
Oh, that's right. When was Joker pre or post Forever Evil?
I want to say post, but I'm
okay.
not. Don't quote me on that timeline.
So yeah, it is entirely possible. Yeah, like I believe Forever Evil did open the door to this, and it did kind of pave the way of clearly there is interest in playing as these villain characters as well, because they are big characters. I mean, DC is full of these big characters, and people love the villains too. So yeah, having like a playable Reverse Flash, having a playable, there's a lot of villains. They're like, wow, how come I can't play as like Clayface or Two Face or some other face? Like there's the trick is finding a home for those to be in. Like all the I guess a good example of DC Metal is the first printing promo, which I believe you can still get in the one. These are the first edition DC Metals, so they should come in the box with the DC Metals you are getting right now. That is Deathstroke,
Yeah.
who is a villain, a playable
Is he the
supervillain.
first play? Well, I guess Forever Evil had villains in it, but
Yeah. So finding an opportunity to do these types of villains is certainly I suppose you could say it's something that's on our radar as like there's a desire for this, and we should try to find a way to start introducing these. It's trying to find a home for them. That's the challenge we're facing right now. But we're aware it's something that people want.
that's
And
great.
yeah.
We also have a recommendation for a Batman Beyond crossover pack.
Ooh, very
That would
nice.
be fun. Awesome. Let's see. Okay, here's a question. What's your favorite card from this set? I know there's been some talk over a couple of the different ones. What was it? Rabid Robin or something was a very interesting card that I've heard come up in conversation. But is there any other like any particular cards that here's that one I was talking about just now? Rabid Robin has
Oh
sparked
yes.
many a conversation. But is there any other particular cards that you think are notable in the new Dark Knight's Metal deck?
You can start us off, Matt.
Sure. So I believe if we're talking like just the main deck cards here, one of my favorites might actually be Warcry. Warcry is a 4-cost superpower, gives you 2 power, and then you and a foe of your choice each draw a card. It's I think we saw an effect like this in Teen Titans Go with Mossy Meadows. Is that right? They
Yes.
did the high five.
Yes.
um, but yeah, so it's like a bigger version of that. But what makes it neat is that, like, well, for starters, I like this kind of effect because something I like to see in our deck builders is a way for like this sort of interaction that is not destructive. Like we have a lot of attacks, and then the defenses defend against those attacks, and those are great. They like create those moments where like, oh, I care what's happening during someone else's turn. Also, like the more directed attacks can help facilitate a sort of catch-up type thing. So like, if someone gets really far behind, I don't feel like they're, or more to the point, if someone's very far ahead, people feel like they can still catch up if attacks start getting pointed at them. But all those types of interaction tend to be destructive, like I am making your turn worse or your
Yeah.
game worse. So I like effects like this that serve that function, but in a constructive way. Like, you know, my turn's better, but also your turn's better. And you are theoretically incentivized to point this at whoever is doing the worst so that they can start catching up and maybe start having a better game, enjoying themselves a little more. So that's a nice thing. But all that being said, what makes this especially nice in the context of this set is because of how the weaknesses work. Warcry can sometimes feel like a really sneaky attack, actually, when you force someone to draw into their second weakness and just ruin their upcoming turn. There's an especially fun combo with Black Manta, who puts a weakness on top of the opponent's deck. So you can just set up the kill with a Warcry. If you're gambling that they already have a weakness in hand. At the very least, you're making sure that the card they get is a dud. But yes, so for all those reasons, Warcry is my pick.
That's a good one. Do
Yeah,
you have one, Nathaniel?
It's a super versatile card. I'm gonna cheat and say two. So I'm gonna
Hey,
say
fair enough. I cheat right up top.
Sunblade and Strigday if you want to look for those.
Which one?
Oh,
Was this
yeah.
Strigday and the Sunblade. What the Strigday is a villain, 3 cost, and Sunblade is a metal equipment. Should be eighth metal. So 8 cost. Okay. I'm gonna say Sunblade for my coolest favorite card in the set. Um, it's a 8 cost. Look at the top. I want to say 4 cards of your deck, and then let you draw different type of cards, and then discard the rest. And so one thing that's not super immediately obvious on this card is that it's a great weakness filter. So of those 4 cards, if any of them are weaknesses, they get discarded and you don't draw into them. So it saves you from those. And then in um, metal, compared to other sets, you're less likely to be type focused. You're more likely to diversify because of those hybrid heroes of wanting 2 different types. And so the number of times that this goes off this draws you 4 cards is unbelievably common, just because again of how many different type shooters you will have in your deck. And then for Strig Day, this one's just a fun, like, this is a card that you could make for this set and really wouldn't really make sense for any other set. In that once you play him, the next time you gain a weakness, you can actually pass it to somebody else. And now most sets you don't really ever gain weaknesses on your turn, but in this set, because there are a couple cards that will give you a bonus for gaining weaknesses, or anytime you beat a supervillain, you gain a weakness. This is just a fun, well, I'm going to beat the supervillain. I'll take one weakness and I'll give another weakness to somebody else I think is doing kind of pretty well. And so this is a cool design that you will find in this set, which again really wouldn't fit in very many other sets.
That's valid. I remember Sunblade was a personal favorite of mine. I remember I got it the last time I played, and I was super excited. I was super proud, and because I was running a cyborg deck, so I was hoarding all the metal cards. So my opponents started to realize that they needed to get me to discard metal cards. So every time I had this in my hand, I was forced to discard it. I was so angry. I've had this card in my hand like 3 or 4 times, but I have never played it.
Oh,
It's
rough.
just like but no, that's it's also a super beautiful card with the
Yeah.
foil, especially with
Oh
the
yeah.
like Sunblade
Oh
and
yeah,
the
for sure.
foil. So yeah, no, that's definitely like a super cool card. Speaking of cards, so you may or may not be familiar, but Dark Knight's Metal comes. There are 2 possible promo cards that you can get for this game. So there is the promo included inside, which is that fancy Deathstroke that we showed you earlier. Excuse me. There's also a Clayface promo card. So that one will be available through certain retailers and the Cryptozoic store. So anytime that you buy buy Dark Knight's Metal through the Cryptozoic store, we will include the Clayface promo while supplies last. I would suggest jumping in on that because the supplies are starting to run low. So if you place your order, if you place your order today, odds are you will still likely get the promo, but we do not have all too many left. So if you are looking for the Clayface promo card, be sure to place your pre-order with Cryptozoic today at store.cryptozoic.com, or reach out to your local retailer, see if they have the promo card available. Not every single store will have it. It depends on which distributor they use. So just be sure to call and ask. They're still distributing. It's taking time to ship and everything. So again, COVID nonsense might require a little bit of patience, but they will know if they at least ordered it or not. So yeah, be sure to take advantage of that Clayface promo if you're looking for that by either ordering today on cryptozoic.com while supplies last, or reach out to your local game store, make sure that they are all squared away if they are receiving the promo card or not. So yeah, promo cards. Oh, and there's also the reprint promo cards available on the Cryptozoic store right now. We have quite a few DC deck building promo cards available right now. Let's see, Vixen and who are the other ones? Anyways, promos from Cryptozoic's past are available on the Games tab on the Cryptozoic store. There's also the Joker, Bane, and Martian Manhunter 3-pack reprints available on cryptozoic.com as well if you're looking to fill out some of your old promo collections. So those are new and available right now. Let's see. Any other questions before we go? Oh, any plan to revisit old mechanics like Unity, time travel, rotate, etc.?
Definitely an option. Nothing is currently in the works that's referencing those again, but it's definitely always something we would like to go back and see. That's also kind of a thing that's like, well, time travel makes sense because Legion of Superheroes, they do a lot of time traveling, and so it would need to make sense for the set of like bringing back teamwork or time travel or any of those other keywords.
I will say of that list, the rotate feels like it might be in a slightly different category. Rotate was from Birds
Birds
of
of Prey,
Prey,
yeah.
which was yours, right, Nathaniel?
Uh, uh, co-design with Hyra.
Oh, okay, okay. But yeah, rotate. And like, don't read too much into this, please. Like, this is just speculation off the dome. But it does open the door for some interesting stuff, in that like it allows tracking of time. I mean, as I understand it, it was inspired by the actual clock tower, right?
hmm
Um, so, like, by allowing the tracking of that sort of thing without needing like all these little fiddly counters or whatever, it does create the potential to do some neat stuff. But that's all speculation. Like, we have definitely not found a home for Rotate or anything like that. But I guess the takeaway there is we're interested in finding, like, if there's something like this that proved to be popular, or that we're like, hey, there's some neat stuff we can do with this still, we'll probably look for a way to bring it back, you know? Um, but yes, like finding the right spot for like time travel or Unity or stuff like you were saying there, um, can be tricky because there's so much of like you said, time travel is such a part of the Legion of Superheroes identity that having it was Legion of Superheroes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like letting it find a home somewhere else would be a challenge. Uh,
Let's see. We have a couple more questions. Any thoughts of doing new campaigns for DC Rebirth based on some of the other DC events?
Yes.
Yes.
Dot dot dot.
nice.
Yes. Very, very good. I like that answer. Okay, this is another really popular one. Do you guys plan on making an official online version, like on Tabletop Simulator or something?
As far as I know, we don't have digital licensing, so we
Right.
can't. We literally cannot.
Yeah,
We
I
would
know
love
that
to,
that's
and I would say if we ever got a digital license, the first thing I would want to do is make a digital legacy deck building game because doing digital makes everything infinitely more easy as far as modifying cards and stuff do go.
Sure, absolutely.
That would be my like ultimate dream set right there.
yeah. Right. So I know that that one's definitely a popular question. But yeah, it does come down to licensing and business nonsense and things like that. So unfortunately, our hands are tied at this moment. But you never know. We would love to have a digital DC deck builder just as much as you guys would. Let's see. We have seen some interesting non-Cerberus engine DC licensed games in the last couple of years. Are there any new surprises in the pipeline for the DC license?
Ooh. Um, okay, so I have to admit, I am a little not up to date on what is public knowledge right now.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna
Can anyone
say,
say? Can anyone let us know if we can say? I don't think we can say anything.
I,
I think it's
I,
also a maybe. I
I,
don't know.
yes, I think
Maybe.
that's,
Okay.
I think the answer is yes.
Okay, but like no specifics beyond that. Okay, okay,
Yeah, I don't believe we've gone much more info than that, but you're on a good track. Yes.
cool. Okay, I'm glad I didn't just blow the lid off of stuff.
No, you're good. Good. You're do you guys plan on making official online? We already answered that one. There we go. All right. Let's see. And I think that is all the questions we have for today. Is there going to be an OP kit for Dark Knight's Metal? I don't believe we had one planned. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think there was going to be, but as far as organized play goes, COVID kind of like destroys that concept.
Right. Yeah, I think that's sort of what ended up happening. So I don't believe we have plans at this time. There might have been, and there might be in the future, like later down along the line. But at this point, organized play and tournament kits don't make a lot of sense with all of the social distancing and COVID nonsense, unfortunately. Will you be doing any more anime-based deck building games? So the reverse of that earlier DC question, are there any plans for the Cerberus? Like, are we going to do anything fun with Cerberus? Any other anime-based deck building games?
No plans right now. I would love to do more. I was
Absolutely.
actually, so I guess, uh, what was it? After we did Naruto, I really wanted to do a Bleach one, but there's never happened.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. Well, is there anything else that you guys would like to cover? Anything else that you'd like to highlight about the game, about any other dynamics, things you think are special that you think the fans would want to know? We've run out of, as far as like submitted questions. If there's anything else that we've missed, feel free to drop those in the comments on Facebook, in the QA, in the chat, wherever else. But other than that, I think we answered everything that we had. So any closing thoughts on Dark Knight's Metal?
Metan?
Well, sure. Let's see. And I guess for the sake of clarity, like, did we in previous CryptoCons and whatnot, some of the details of how the mode works um, were sort of introduced. Like, I hope people are, maybe we could go over just some of the basics of like I think we've alluded to a lot of the systems, but
Right.
just so it's clear, like here's how this whole puzzle fits together. Um, Although, okay, well, maybe I don't want to jump ahead of like the closing thoughts thing. So um, I don't know if Nathaniel, if you had anything you wanted to throw out before we get into that, or instead in lieu of getting into that, or
No,
something
you
like
can
that.
just do the overview. Sure.
Okay. Um, so, like Nathaniel mentioned, we start the game a little bit into the metal storyline with Batman captured, right? Um, Now, everyone starts the game with their hero, just sort of normal DC deck building style, right? You have your hero, your starting deck. Your starting deck is still 7 punches, 3 vulnerabilities. That's all the same. What is different is that we have the breakthroughs instead of the kick stack. It's the breakthrough stack, and the weaknesses have this extra power on them. Like we mentioned earlier, the weaknesses that specific extra power is that if you ever have two of them during your turn, uh, you, one of your heroes becomes captured and your turn ends. What that means is that your hero, or one of them rather, will be taken by the Batman who laughs and sort of put in the captured pile, presumably along with Batman if he's still there, or just as part of the captured pile there. If that's your last hero, you get a replacement hero from the stack. So it's not too big a deal. Now, I say last hero because a big part of what makes Metal fun is you can get more heroes on your team beyond your starting hero. Now, this isn't the first time we've sort of played around in the space. I believe the first time was Teen Titans Go, right?
Yep.
Yep. And I think again, this is one of your brainchilds, right, Nathaniel? Of
Yeah.
like the sidekicks,
hmm
like jumping in to help different sides here and there. Um, and so DC Metal kind of runs with that now, like full blown. Hey, every time you beat a supervillain, and through some other effects, but mostly when you beat supervillains, you get to rescue a hero on top of that. Like, you start with just Batman captured in the rescue pile, but other characters get up captured there. You rescue one of those superheroes, add it to your team. Um, so now you might have two heroes, you might end up with three heroes or more if you're doing really well. You know, and again, hopefully these heroes are combining in very interesting ways. Like, we've set up a lot of stuff to hopefully allow you to, like, oh, if I combine with this one, I get to do all this cool stuff. That's neat. Um, the the danger, of course, is every time you beat a superhero, super villain, sorry, the Batman who laughs will also be handing you weaknesses, and again, those weaknesses can allow those heroes to be captured, thus diminishing your team again. That's sort of the back and forth that going on here. Uh, which then raises the question of how do you fight against this? That's where the breakthroughs come in. Breakthrough, much like kick, is 3 costs, 2 power. But it also can be sent back to the stack. So, you play it, you send it back to the stack, it's out of your deck, but that will let you destroy a weakness or vulnerability that you have in play. Um, and so this gives you a tool to fight against the weaknesses that the Batman Who Laughs hands you, and that the game will hand you. There's a decent chunk of weaknesses being handed out in this game. In fact, I believe we ended up with more than the normal 20, right?
Yes.
In the deck. That was a funny conversation of like, how many weaknesses do we actually need to make this mode work? I think we ended up at 30.
I think so, but I'm 100% sure on that.
Yeah, but it is a little more than usual to, again, accommodate for this unique mode, really. And again, to a point I think Amanda made way back earlier, like it feels like a different game mode. It is like this experience that we're hoping feels, hey, this is a cool thing. This is different than what we normally see in Starburst. But at the same time, it is still like familiar enough. It is still a part of the usual DC deck building experience. It's still compatible with a lot of what you know. Like Rebirth is still pretty. It certainly draws a lot from the normal Cerberus experience, but it is still different enough that it's like it is its kind of its own thing with all the movement and the range and the campaign thing, all that. Like it is a more different type of experience. Whereas Metal is maybe a step back from that. It's different, but it should still feel familiar. You won't feel like you have to learn a whole new game. Just like learn these few effects, but everything else is just regular old Metal. Not Metal, regular old DC deck builder. So yes, so you got your Batman Who Laughs, who captures heroes for you to rescue, hands you weaknesses when you defeat supervillains. You got the weaknesses, which cause your heroes to be captured. You got the breakthroughs to fight against the weaknesses. You rescue heroes, add to your team, try to make sure they don't get captured. Fight through all the supervillains, which are, by the way, the Dark Knights, elite group of 6, right? So 6 members of
Mm-hmm.
the Justice League, essentially, but as Bruce Wayne evil people.
Yeah.
Um, Spoilers again. I'm sorry. That was my bad. Uh, and then you fight through the 7th last boss, which I guess I won't spoil that.
Sure.
But yes, that is the system in a nutshell. Did I miss anything there, Nathaniel?
The only other like new different thing is the reward versus gaining
Oh
supervillains.
yes, absolutely. Please, yeah, go into that.
Oh, sure. So when you defeat a supervillain, so when you buy a card from the lineup, no matter what type it is, it goes to your discard pile. With the supervillains in this game, though, you get an immediate reward of some kind. Draw extra cards, destroy cards for the reward, and then the supervillain goes into your score pile instead of your discard pile. So you don't get a new card for your deck when you defeat them, but you do get the points for them, and you get a new superhero instead. So when you buy a lineup, a normal card for the lineup, it adds to your deck. When you defeat a supervillain, it adds to your superheroes that you have available to you.
Yeah, I really like the dynamic of having more than one superhero and more than one ability, having them move and change. It felt really like powerful. Like I liked having some like ongoing sort of like chain together and like interact with the heroes and adapt to what their abilities are. And also, like I mentioned before, I like to play Cyborg because I like to hoard all the shiny cards. But then I build this deck around Cyborg. But then if Cyborg gets captured, then I have to now adapt my deck to the new ability that I have and try to get Cyborg back. And like that sort of interaction of like trying to have a very versatile deck to build around different abilities is a lot of fun. I think that it adds like a really fun new step to the game because you're not just building around your hero and then building your deck and then continuing through the game. Like it can change and add or have less or be taken away or anything like that. Like I thought that was probably one of my favorite parts about like the update.
Yeah, for sure. This game I would say more than a normal base set has kind of more of a narrative to it because like you're saying, I'm Cyborg. I built up this awesome Cyborg deck, and then he gets captured. Oh no! So now my goal is I need to rescue Cyborg again, so my deck is awesome again. And so again, like
Right.
you actually feel this kind of story progression of oh no, my hero got captured. I need to work towards getting him back now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's a lot
Yeah,
of fun.
absolutely. And actually, something you touched on there uh, kind of does speak to like, so part of the I mentioned the hybrid heroes way up top as some of my favorite to play, but they're also, I think, they're a good example of like the sort of things that need to happen with the heroes to sort of make the whole thing gel. Because like you mentioned earlier, like sometimes your plans go astray, and it's nice having like these heroes that again, if the flexibility allows them to still work with what you like. Another thing that can come up is when you rescue a hero. So I guess this kind of launches into a bit of a story of the history of those heroes, because when they first started, there were a couple of different executions. Um, we had at least one hero running around, which was you need A and B to get bonus. I think that was, oh, what is her name? It's not Lady Blackhawk,
Oh,
spoiler.
Kendra
It's
Saunders.
Kendra Saunders.
Yeah.
Wait, did I misname one of them? She's one of them, right? So I probably named one of the wrong ones up
I
top.
think you did. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not sure which one is the wrong. Oh, it's Hal. No, Hal's not one of them.
Hal is not one of them. No.
Yeah, it's Kendra, Aquaman, Doctor Fate, Wonder Woman. That sounds right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we had do A and B get bonus. We also had a few that were do 2A get bonus. So like two heroes get a thing. And something we saw a lot of the time is people would like rescue a hero and then be disappointed because they're like, oh, I can't get two heroes. I'm already getting superpowers. What am I going to do here? Um, and this is a real good, the lesson here, of course, it is a recurring lesson you see in like, always pay attention, pay very close attention when your playtesters are playing, because people weren't saying what I just said out loud. They weren't like, oh, this sucks. What they were saying was like, oh, like when they got a hero. And like even that little vocalization, or even just a shoulder slump, is like, that speaks volumes to what that person is feeling right now. So like, okay, this is clearly a problem. What can we do to like make this more exciting? And so that's what led to, okay, instead of like A and B or AA, you can do A, either AA or BB or A and B. Any of those will allow this hero to function. And now that made it when you got one of these heroes rescued, or when you had to switch to your hero when your last hero is captured, or whatever the case may be, that experience is more likely to be like, oh, okay, cool. This gives me another path I can walk down. It gives you that flexibility um, to adjust your play. Also, but a number of the main deck cards, specifically the metal cards, facilitate this as well. Like there's a whole lot of metal cards that can be enabled. Like they have like do a thing, get a bonus, which is a pretty common formula we have in a lot of our deck builders. Um, but the specifics of it are like you can either play card type or play a metal card, to get the bonus, which allows those cards to be like, okay, you can turn them on by grabbing a bunch of metal cards, or by like going down this type path. And again, it gives you those options to adjust your play as you need to during the course of the game, by allowing the heroes and the main deck cards and things like that to give you these options of different ways to facilitate them. Like we give you the option to adapt your play to have your team may change. And that helps make this experience work, I suppose. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded, I suppose.
No, that's good. It was really interesting to hear about how it developed over time and the sort of considerations that you guys took when creating the new mechanics. Yeah, so that's just about time. I think we've answered all of the questions. Dark Knight's Metal! Available today, officially launching tomorrow. If you wanted to get that Clayface promo card, be sure to place your order today, as they are running a little thin at this point, but we still have some, but be sure to place an order sooner than later. That's all the updates that we have for you today. I really enjoy this game. I think it's a really fun refresh on sort of the DC deck building. It's like we were saying before, it's familiar as DC deck builder, but with enough fun new twists that it is a new game. And the art's gorgeous. The cards are really fun. Definitely recommend. Yeah, so thank you so much, Nathaniel and Matt, for tuning in and giving us your insight on how this game was developed, your favorite cards, combos, answers. The fans appreciate it. We're getting lots of thank yous.
Awesome. Thank you for
So thank
watching
you
and
so much
having
for your
us.
time.
Yeah, and like of course, like Nathaniel was just saying, like thank you to all the fans. Like we certainly appreciate your support. Like the fact that you're here with us today, supporting this game, supporting us through all the years. Like it means the world to us. Like I know that's something you hear like a lot, like all the time, but it never stops being true. You know, like we couldn't do this without you, and so we really appreciate everything you've done to support us throughout all this time. Thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you to all of your fans. I hope you enjoy Dark Knight's Metal. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you at the next launch party. Thanks for
Oh,
attending.
can I also throw a quick shout out to like everyone else that worked on this product? Like,
Oh,
it's not
yeah.
just us three
Oh,
here.
for
Like,
sure.
you know,
Right.
like
No, it's a whole
designers
team.
alone. It's not just me and Nathaniel. Like, you'll also see on that box Ben Stahl and of course Matt Hyra, who laid out a lot of like the early like how this whole thing worked. And so like both of them for sure. But like, there's a lot of names in those credits because everyone there worked very hard to make this
Yeah.
game come to life. So you know, like it's not just what you see here on your screen. There's an entire team of people working very hard to bring these things to life, and like they're everyone there should be celebrated. Like our graphic designers, our customer service, who have a very hard job. Our I mean, no, sorry, that may sound rude because you folks are
No,
great.
no,
It's
no.
just customer service
Problems
is not
happen.
easy.
Mhm.
But we're thankful to have fans that are very understanding when it comes to that stuff. But it's still hard work.
Mhm.
But you know, like our salespeople, our brand managers, like everything, product managers. So there are so many people working so hard to make these things happen, and so like we appreciate everyone doing everything they can to make these products awesome.
Mhm. Yep, that is for sure. It is a huge team effort of a lot of different wheels turning and plates spinning and all sorts of things. So yeah, thank you to the entire Cryptozoic team for making this even possible, all the way from founders all the way down to fans supporting us. Couldn't have done it without any single one piece. So
Absolutely.
that's great. Awesome. Well, that is just about our time. So I will let you all go. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you learned something, had some fun. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much, everyone.